Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. This is your brother Farhan again. Today I'm going to talk about something that I might have touched on in previous videos, but is something that is very fundamental and something that is really important, which is taqwallah. This word is something that we hear thrown around quite a bit within the community, and sometimes we'll even hear people say ittaqillah, and we will translate it in our minds as fear Allah. But that's not really what it means. When we say taqwa and we use the word taqwa, or when we tell someone to have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're basically telling them, remember Allah. That's it. It's not meant to be used as a way of blackmailing the person in front of you to do whatever it is that you want them to do, or to get them to stop doing whatever it is that they're doing. We're just reminding each other that we need to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what essentially is taqwa? Taqwa is bringing Allah into the conversation. That's it. Every time I get out of the car, every time I shake hands with someone, every time I speak to someone, depending on who it is, we will take that relationship for granted. So if before I speak to my wife, I remember why it is that I'm speaking to her. If before I speak to my son or my daughter, I remember Allah before initiating that conversation, how much more enriching do we feel those conversations will actually become? And that's essentially what taqwa is. I had a brother ask me one time, he said, Shaykh, how can a person constantly renew their intention, and how do we, and I was like, stop, that's taqwa. That's it. And I know it is such a simple concept, but the reality is, if we bring Allah into every single conversation that we have, in every single action that we do, it is challenging and it's hard. And those things that we're doing, they might be mubah, right? They might be completely permissible. If I'm drinking water because I'm thirsty, or going for a run because I want to clear my head, that's completely fine. The only difference that happens is when I bring Allah into the equation, I now have an opportunity to be rewarded. And that action that I'm doing will be that much more enriching. But I say specifically when it comes to our worship, right? When we have our ritual worship, bringing Allah is fundamental, it's necessary, otherwise that action is going to be rejected. And when we deal with one another, it's something that will enrich every single relationship, even with people we dislike. And this is something that's important. Why? Because the person in front of me, I might not like him, but if I remember Allah, I'll make sure that I don't oppress him or I don't oppress her. And that's something that's really important. Because many times we'll overlook those relationships, we'll overlook with how we're dealing with one another. And the reason is because we forget Allah. And forgetting is natural. We're always in a point of ghafla at some point or another. So whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about taqwa, He's talking about it in the present tense. And when there's a discussion in the present tense, this means that it's something that has to happen time and time again. But when Allah talks about something in a noun, that means that that is something that stays with Him forever. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, right? He's talking about the mu'min. Now this individual is described with iman. Allah is describing this person. He has a continuity of iman, but yatawakkal, that even this person, he has to remember time and time again. And this is the mu'min. This is who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes at a high level of belief. All of us will have those lulls. All of us will have those lows. Those are very natural. They're completely natural. But what differentiates the mu'min from the kafir? What differentiates the Muslim from the fasiq? The fact that from those lows, inshallah, we'll have those highs again. And when we look at our individual taqwa, when we do an analysis of it, it should be like, a good stock, right? Where you have higher lows and higher highs, right? So it's not going to go like this, right? It's probably going to be something like this. But as long as we're seeing an upward trend and an upward channel, that means that there's a chance for us to be successful. So it's upon every single person to always reanalyze their heart, reanalyze their intention, reanalyze our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the best ways to do that in this month is developing a relationship with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And next time, so stay tuned, we're going to talk about on one of the ways to do that, inshallah. So I look forward to seeing you all.